Knowledge is independent of the substrate. Knowledge can exist without a knowing entity. These are two incredibly inspiring statements from Chiara Marletto's book, The Science of Can and Can't. And thanks to Brad Hall, who clarified this in one of his recent episodes of the Talkcast, I want to talk about this and apply it to the hedge fund business, because I was talking in the last few episodes about the difficulty of valuing a stock like Tesla. And I think this is directly related to Chiara's statement, because I believe, and this is a conjecture, that there is knowledge that a company can have without a knowing entity. Neither the CEO nor the board nor anybody in the company has the knowledge. It's the company that has the knowledge. And this is the difficulty that we have when we value companies, because we try to value the entity that has knowledge, which is, let's say, the CEO, and we trust the CEO and the founder and all this. Now, of course, this is complicated because on the one hand, there is such a thing as a founder and a CEO, in particular with Tesla. There's Elon Musk, certainly important person. On the other hand, I believe Tesla has knowledge now which is independent of a knowing entity. It's the knowledge that the company, the processes, the culture, all these things are part of the knowledge which we are valuing as investors, and that is very difficult to value. That's why we have trouble. But I don't want to talk that much about valuation in this episode. I want to focus on the fact that we can have knowledge without a knowing entity and apply it to business and the investment business. This is Not Even Wrong podcast. It's November 4th, 2021. This is Krim Delco. For the day, the fund is up 1.5%. The market's up 45 basis points. For the year, we are up 61.9%. The market's up 21.4%. We're outperforming by 40.5%. So in Chiara Marletto's book, The Science of Can and Can't, Chiara basically establishes a new science, and that is the science of knowledge, epistemology as a physics as discipline. So epistemology and the science of knowledge, of course, have been around, but to tie it to physics is new and I think incredibly important and interesting. What Chiara is saying is that we can have knowledge that is instantiated into something, let's say a DNA, a person, a company, but there doesn't have to be a knowing entity. Knowledge is not something conscious that humans have. For example, a cricket has knowledge. A cricket knows how to dig a hole, and it does it every time you cover the hole. Next day it's going to be there again, and the next day the cricket will dig the hole again. This is one of the examples that Chiara uses in her book. I want to apply this idea to companies. And there's a very interesting question that Chiara asks, which is, what would it take for the cricket to stop digging the hole? What is it we have to change so the cricket doesn't dig the hole again? Because this is the answer to this question is also the answer to the question, where is the knowledge? Now let's ask this question. What would it take to stop Tesla? How can we undo Tesla? Now, bearing, of course, the fact that we just nuke the world and destroy everything and stuff like that. Let's not go there. Let's think about this more practically. What would it take to stop Tesla? We kill Elon Musk, we kill Drew Balino, we kill Andrei Karpathy, etc., etc. Well, there is still a chance that Tesla could reemerge. It's not clear that the knowledge is in the heads of those people. We destroy the Fremont factory. I don't think this would change Tesla because there's a Shanghai factory, there's also, we destroy all the factories. Well, the people that built those factories can build new factories. I think the knowledge of Tesla is independent of a knowing entity, and it's incredibly difficult to identify what it is we would have to change so Tesla cannot be the kind of company that it is at 1.2 trillion market cap. And the answer to the question of what it is that we have to change so Tesla stops being successful is also the answer of where is the knowledge within Tesla. And my answer is it's very difficult to answer that. We don't know, and this is part of the reason why we have such trouble valuing the company, because we don't really know where the knowledge is. We don't really know what is it we're buying. We know that there is something coming up. Let's take another easier example. Khabib Nurmagomedov is, in my view, one of the best fighters, if not the best fighter ever. And the question again, what would it take to undo Khabib? How can we undo what he's good at? Barring, of course, just kill him. But is it the DNA? Is it if we change a mutation in his DNA? Is that what it is? Is it the experience? So is it the muscle memory? Where is the knowledge that we have to undo so Khabib cannot fight anymore? And those are the kinds of questions that we can extrapolate. Now, let's say with the cricket, is it the DNA? Is it a particular part of the DNA? Is it how can we undo the proliferation of pine trees? Is there something in the DNA of the pine tree that if we change it, they will not do whatever they're doing so they can proliferate? It's incredibly interesting and difficult because it's new. This is a new science, I think. Because what Chiara is really saying is that knowledge is physics. Knowledge is like everything else. It's an accumulation and a coordination of particles in a specific way, and that specific way creates knowledge. It's information. It's counterfactuals. Chiara also talks about the counterfactuals in her book. So what does that mean in the context of Tesla? Well, counterfactual just means it could be this or it could be that. And Tesla, in many, many, many iterations on a daily basis, tens of thousands of employees are doing either this or that. And the that versus the this is really what we call knowledge. Now, of course, there are more important and less important people at Tesla, like everywhere else. There is more important body parts and less important body. There's body parts we can operate away, and there's other body parts we can't. So there are things in nature and in physics that are more important than others. There are hierarchies. But if we put that aside for a second, we can still just simply say that there is such a thing as elementary particles and forces, and they combine to something that we then call knowledge. And knowledge has the ability to reinforce itself, to replicate itself, and to instantiate itself in matter, in any kind of thing, in products and services when we talk about companies. So knowledge has this ability. The knowledge of the cricket to dig a hole instantiates itself in the hole. The knowledge itself is abstract. It's in some sort of form of information, which is a summary of counterfactuals which are stored and copyable, replicable, and instantiate themselves in some sort of matter. They have to be carried in something. So memory is a physical thing, and then that something reproduces and reinstantiates, etc., etc. When it comes to a company, let's talk about the history of Tesla. Tesla is founded by Elon Musk, so clearly Elon Musk is a central part of Tesla. We can't just say that Tesla is part of the evolution of the Big Bang. It's a true statement, but it's useless. So Tesla, we can't say that Tesla is just part of the evolution of Moore's Law. Again, it's true, but it's completely useless. Tesla is the result of the founder's idea to start a company. The founder's name is Elon Musk, and he created a team and started a company. This is more tangible. Elon Musk himself is a result of the Big Bang, is a result of human evolution, is a result of the dinosaurs being wiped out by a meteor, and then other living forms being able to live, and finally humans coming out of those. Yes, but this is all useless. But what is really matters is that it started somewhere. So the start somewhere is Elon Musk. That's key. And he built something. I want to conjecture that there is something that we can create, maybe some sort of analytical framework that will tell us that at some point the importance of Elon Musk diminishes, and the importance of knowledge, which is created on top of what he's built. So the abstract form of knowledge that Tesla has created with his intention or sometimes even without his intention, that takes over. And I think right now we're in a process of where that is even more the case. Now, on the one hand, that's of course great because we have this ability to create something out of nothing, and that something can grow and have its own life. On the other hand, it's also scary because if we can't design it, if we can't manage it, then who says that it's a good thing? So from an investor's perspective, we have to be very careful that we understand that if there is such a thing as knowledge without a knowing entity, in other words, even the management, even Elon Musk don't know exactly what Tesla is, well then who says that it's a good thing? Who are we to decide that it's a good thing? Now we can watch the market, and this is what we do, and this goes back to yesterday's episode, hard money, soft rules, because we need some sort of arbiter, and money is a very good arbiter. Money, market share, earnings, these kinds of things are incredibly good arbiters because they show us that whatever this knowledge is, whatever this thing is that we're buying, that we're believing in, it's a good thing because it's being rewarded by the marketplace in terms of money. This is why money is so important. This is why even people like Tesla, intuitively or explicitly, I don't know, but they are incredibly happy to have something like Bitcoin because they need hard money so they can be arbitrated in a way that somebody decides that they win and others lose. They think, let's say somebody like Elon Musk thinks that, yeah, I'm absolutely right. But how do I prove that to the world? Well, I can prove it to the world by winning in the marketplace, and for that I need money. So we investors, we need a market. We need money, we need a place where money can be allocated or taken away from certain things like assets, stocks, things like that. So we can then have assurance that the kind of knowledge that we're investing in, even though it doesn't have a knowing entity, it is being tested in the marketplace, and we have an assurance that that knowledge is doing whatever it's supposed to be doing, or if we don't know exactly what it's supposed to be doing, at least we have the assurance it's a good thing. And good is defined as winning in the marketplace. This is, for us investors, this is what matters. The purpose of this hedge fund is, the purpose of this podcast is to give people a sense for what it feels like to run a hedge fund. The purpose of our hedge fund, Orange Capital, is to generate wealth by investing in fundamentally new concepts and engineering practices. So back to the purpose of the podcast. What does it feel like to run a hedge fund? Well, you have to have some sort of arbiter. You can't run a hedge fund in Venezuela. It doesn't make sense. There's no money, there's no market. You are at the whim of the leaders there or some drug lords, things like that. You can't run anything like that. That's why countries like Russia are not able to succeed on the economic landscape, not because they're not capable. Russians are incredibly capable, as they show here in Silicon Valley. However, in Russia, they can't because Russia doesn't have a marketplace, doesn't even have real money. It's kind of a dollarized economy, etc. So it's just not possible to have arbitration and replace ideas with better ideas, replace products with better products. All these things don't work. So we need hard money and soft rules, like I said yesterday. And we can have a system where knowledge exists without a knowing entity, and that knowledge proliferates itself and instantiates itself and survives and keeps getting better and better only if we have an arbiter that gives this type of knowledge more resources. This is how Darwin works. This is how any kind of natural selection works. Natural selection works exactly in the same way. You get rewarded for a certain mutation, and that mutation generates some sort of ability to gather resources, and the more resources you have, the more chances you have to survive, and the more your offspring survive, and your species wins, and all that stuff. So to summarize, Chiara Marletto and Brad Hall, shout out to Brad Hall one more time for pointing that out. But let's now focus on Chiara. Chiara's book, The Science of Can and Can't. She talks about knowledge as a thing which is substrate independent, and there is knowledge without a knowing entity. These concepts can be applied to the hedge fund business in a sense that we can say that we can invest in a company where there is not, so investing in the company is investing in knowledge, and that knowledge doesn't need to have a knowing entity. So Tesla is in itself an instantiation of knowledge, and there doesn't have to be a knowing entity. There are people like Elon Musk and Drew Balino which certainly know more and are incredibly important, but even they are not fully, they are not 100% of the knowledge within Tesla. There is more to it. And the only way we can be assured as investors that we're still doing the right thing, because now we can't talk to that thing. Let's say if it was just Elon Musk, we could simply talk to Elon Musk and say, listen, what is it you're doing, and all that stuff. And this is to some extent what investors are doing, talking to these people. But it's only part of the picture, because the knowledge exists without the knowing entity. And this is the absolute crucial idea here, that here I'm going to elaborate much more on this, but today this is an important episode because it's the first time that I'm formulating this, and it's an inspiration. It's a very, very interesting way to look at the concept of knowledge. Knowledge is physics. It is the assortment of particles and forces and all that stuff. And it has this ability to instantiate itself, to replicate itself, and keep going. And it is being tested by the marketplace. That's why we need hard money and a functioning market, so we can be assured that the kind of knowledge that we're investing in is doing what it's supposed to be doing. And right now with Tesla, we're certainly on the right track. Thank you.